Hello, people. This is Teacher Aich, and welcome back to our math tutorial series. Today, we're diving into the sum and difference formulas for sine, cosine, and tangent. For our objective of this lesson, by the end of this lesson, students will be able to understand the sum and difference formulas for sine, cosine, and tangent. Use these formulas to find sine, cosine, and tangent of angles. Let's start with a simple question. What are the sum and difference formulas? Sum and difference formulas are special trigonometric identities. They help us find the sine, cosine, or tangent of two angles added together or subtracted from each other, like sine 75 degrees, cosine 15 degrees, or tangent 105 degrees. Instead of guessing or using a calculator, we break these angles into smaller angles that we already know the values of, such as 30 degrees, 45 degrees, or 60 degrees. These formulas let us combine those values to get exact answers. Now, let's look at the actual formulas. The sine formulas. These help us calculate the sine of a sum or a difference of angles. So to find the sine of A plus B, you multiply the sine of the first angle by the cosine of the second, then add the cosine of the first angle times the sine of the second. If you're subtracting the angles, you do the same but subtract the two parts. For the cosine formulas, these are used to calculate the cosine of a sum or a difference of angles. For cosine, it's a little different. When you're adding angles, you subtract the two parts. When you are subtracting angles, you add them. Think of cosine as having the opposite sign of what you expect. Cos A plus B uses a minus, and cos A minus B uses a plus. And for the tangent formulas, these are the tangent of a sum or difference of two angles. With tangent, we use a fraction. The numerator is just the sum or difference of tangent A and tangent B, depending on the formula. The denominator always flips the sign. If you're adding the angles, you subtract in the denominator. If you're subtracting angles, you add the product. Now let's break each one down and apply them to specific problems. Make sure you have your calculator to easily solve the problem. Okay, let's proceed to the examples. So first, let's start with the sine using sum formula. So let's solve for sine 60 degrees plus 30 degrees. So we can use the identity sine A plus B is equal to sine A times cosine B plus cosine A times sine B. So step number 1, identify the known values. So you can use your scientific calculator or unit circle chart to identify the known values. Okay, so for sine 60 degrees is equal to square root of 3 over 2. Sine 30 degrees is equal to 1/2. Cosine 60 degrees is equal to 1/2. And cosine 30 degrees is equal to square root of 3 over 2. Now, let's proceed to step number 2. Plug them into the formula. So we have sine 60 degrees plus 30 degrees is equal to square root of 3 over 2 times square root of 3 over 2 plus 1/2 times 1/2. So calculate them. So we have the final answer, which is 1. Therefore, sine 60 degrees plus 30 degrees is equal to 1. Okay, let's proceed to sine using difference formula. Okay, let's solve for sine 60 degrees minus 30 degrees. So we can use the identity sine A minus B is equal to sine A times cosine B minus cosine A times sine B. Okay, let's proceed to step number 1. Identify the known values. No, you can use your scientific calculator or unit circle chart. So we have sine 60 degrees is equal to square root of 3 over 2. Sine 30 degrees is equal to 1/2. Cosine 60 degrees is equal to 1/2. Cosine 30 degrees is equal to square root of 3 over 2. Now let's proceed to step number 2. Plug them into the formula. So we have sine 60 degrees minus 30 degrees is equal to square root of 3 over 2 times square root of 3 over 2 minus 1/2 times 1/2. So calculate. Okay, we have the final answer, which is 1/2. Therefore, sine 60 degrees minus 30 degrees is equal to 1/2. Okay, let's proceed to cosine using some formula. Okay, let's solve for cosine 30 degrees plus 60 degrees. We can use the identity cosine A plus B is equal to cosine A times cosine B minus sine A times sine B. Okay, so let's proceed to step number 1. Identify the values. Okay, and after that, let's proceed to step number 2. Plug them into the formula. Then calculate. So we have the final answer, which is 0. Therefore, cosine 30 degrees plus 60 degrees is equal to 0. Next, let's proceed to cosine using difference formula. So let's solve for cosine 60 degrees minus 45 degrees. So we can use this identity cosine A minus B is equal to cosine A times cosine B plus sine A times sine B. Okay, let's proceed to step number 1. Identify the known values. After that, let's proceed to step number 2. Plug them into the formula and calculate. So we have the final answer, which is square root of 2 plus square root of 6 all over 4. So therefore, cosine 60 degrees minus 45 degrees is equal to square root of 2 plus square root of 6 over 4. Next, let's have tangent using some formula. Okay, let's solve for tangent 45 degrees plus 30 degrees. So we can use the identity tangent A plus B is equal to tangent A plus tangent B over 1 minus tangent A times tangent B. So proceed to step number 1. Identify the known values. Okay. After, let's proceed to step number 2. Plug them into the formula. Then calculate. Okay. So we have the final answer. So tangent 45 degrees plus 30 degrees is equal to square root of 3 plus 1 over square root of 3 minus 1. Okay, very good. Okay, let's proceed to tangent using difference formula. So let's solve for tangent 60 degrees minus 45 degrees. So we can use the identity tangent A minus B is equal to tangent A minus tangent B over 1 plus tangent A times tangent B. So let's proceed to step number 1. Identify the known values. Next, let's proceed to step number 2. Plug them into the formula. Then calculate. So we have now the final answer. Tangent 60 degrees minus 45 degrees is equal to square root of 3 minus 1 over 1 plus square root of 3. And that's it for our lesson on the sum and difference formulas. We went step by step through how to apply each formula with real values. And now you've got the skills to tackle similar trigonometric problems with confidence. If this helped, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment with any questions. See you in the next video, people!